my life, because I had a lot of cousins, I lost a cousin to meningitis, another one at 13, and she was only below 10 years old. My cousin Brucey had heart problems since he was a kid, and when he was 13 they operated on him and he never woke up from the operation. These are, I was thinking in my head, scars, but they're not. I mean, yes, they are. But what they are is indicative of the value of our lives, of every moment, the privilege to have every moment and day, because it does disappear. And no matter what we think of our longevity, it's a surprise, right? It's when you get something, it wasn't asked for, not planned, it just is. And then we have to deal with whatever it is in any way we can. And so these lessons, these experiences, become who I am. And I'm not happy that they happened. You know, I'd rather have less depth and understanding than have my relatives living long lives. But I think it's important to utilize what happens to us in a very positive way, in a way that can make us more compassionate and kind and grateful. And I hope in my life that that has come to fruition. You know, when I was 13 years old, I was bar mitzvahed. We were from the Reformed Temple, which is very close to like Presbyterian. You know, I mean, it wasn't, you know, I wasn't davening and wearing payas and putting things around me, you know, and I wasn't kosher, you know, give me shrimp and lobster and, you know, Reuben sandwich, meat and cheese together, you know, it's perfect for me. But I was bar mitzvahed, and I had to learn a speech. I wrote a speech, and the rabbi took that speech and made it unrecognizable to me. It was almost a travesty. The other thing is, my mother wanted me to say, instead of every bar mitzvah kid said, Rabbi Saperstein, their parents, relative, and friends. And my mother wanted me to say, Rabbi Saperstein, their parents, grandmother, relatives, and friends. Every time I got to grandmother, I'd break out and cry. And on the day of my bar mitzvah, in front of a congregation and all my friends, classmates who I invited, relatives, I said Rabbi Saperstein, their parents, and got hysterically sobbing so I couldn't tell, like I did in this video here. I haven't changed much, right? My heartstrings are very close to my skin level. And if they're plucked, I'm fucked. And that's the story. You know, I'm only human, and I come out with this humanity at the worst moments. And I remember my mother after. The rabbi was smart enough to let me sit down, relax, and I started again, and somehow the second time I got through it. Still crying, but I got through it. I was so embarrassed that I went into the men's bathroom. I remember my mother came in to the bathroom and, you know, probably said some wise words to me. And I remember her telling me that my emotion was more beautiful than my speech. And I think in life we have to keep it real, right? We have to let our hearts flow and open it up, even when it's, you know, hard. And also, it's not controlled anyway. You know, I remember when my grandmother died. I was at the cemetery. Now you got to picture this cemetery first of all. It was an old Jewish cemetery in a place in Long Island that the whole road, and I'm talking about miles, were one cemetery after another. Military cemeteries, Catholic cemeteries, Jewish cemeteries. And somewhere I'm not sure if it was before World War II or after World War II, my family bought a family plot. The Sam and oh shit, my mind. Sam Klein family circle. And I'll remember it about 5 minutes later. And this plot was big. I mean, it was like a place you'd build a house on, a small house, you know, going back a lot. So our whole family has room to be buried in. But it's by the biggest dump, sanitation, where they dump garbage for Long Island. This is a mountain right behind, next to, the cemetery. It stinks. It smells. And one time, when my grandmother was alive, we were at a funeral, and I'm standing next to my grandmother, and I hear her say, "Thank God they're dead. They can't smell the cemetery and the garbage." And we both laughed. And so now it's her funeral. And I'm trying to hold in my tears. And my uncle said to me, like, if not now, Ken, when? Right? There's a time to cry. There's a time to mourn our dead and to grieve. And it doesn't go away quick. It never goes away. It's just part of who we are in life. And I accept that. I accept it. In fact, when I do feel, when something hits a nerve about Deborah, you know, dying, and she's dead 8 years now, but still, I can be provoked and start sobbing. And I think most people, or some people, might think it's something bad. But I think it's a connection with the person I love. It again shows that depth of feeling. And therefore, I kind of feel that it's welcomes. It's not, it's a release. And it's a connection between the person I'm thinking about and the love I have for them. Because that doesn't go away, right? Love doesn't fade. Love doesn't change. We just have to manifest it in ourselves so that we're not alone we're not feeling unloved. You know, that we always have that safety net, that we always know we were loved and that we had the opportunity to love. So I learned that very early. Loss as a child and as a teenager. And in my life, there had been, I really believe there's not only angels in our life, and I don't mean the angels as a spiritual thing, as something that comes down, but I mean real people who for some reason change our life, or events that change our life, that takes a path and changes it.